All right, welcome back to the Binary Sunset Podcast. It's episode 17. Congrats, Zach.
Congrats, AV.
So today we're going to talk about the arrival of the Clone Wars 2D 2003.
Well, technically, it's not the Clone Wars. I think it's just Clone Wars.
Oh, it's just Clone Wars.
Yeah,
yeah. So on Disney Plus,
like
they released the 2D Tartakovsky series.
It's just
we watched
Star
it
Wars.
last night.
It's just Star Wars : Clone Wars. So take
Star Wars Clone Wars
out of it.
Gotcha.
Take the out of Facebook. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for clarifying that.
No problem.
Yeah. So yeah, we watched it last night.
It's
I think I'd seen it before.
I have too.
Some of it.
I used to rent it in addition to watching it when it was on Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
I also used to rent it all the time from my local library as a kid. The DVDs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
it's kind of a little throwback. I used to watch just because of the anime. I mean, it was Tartakovsky. He did Samurai Jack. I used to love Samurai Jack and
totally and
love that animation style.
I will say, obviously, Samurai Jack is better than Star Wars Clone Wars, but I mean, that being said, it's very influenced by Samurai Jack.
Well, I think Samurai Jack is more narrative.
Yeah.
This is more just like.
But I honestly want to draw this line because, like, I don't want to make it look like whenever we talk about Star Wars, it has to be the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like the source material.
But let's just say right off the bat, this series is pretty damn good.
It is, in my opinion, it's way better than the Clone Wars, which I have not technically finished.
You haven't finished.
But guess what? Honestly, like a little bit rambling, the movie sucked.
Yes, the movie sucked.
The movie sucked, and it's I've had a bad taste in my mouth ever since it. So that honestly, I mean, it's not fair, but at the same time, it kind of is fair because it's kind of like Jimmy Neutron, where Jimmy Neutron inspired the show.
Yeah. The thing about comparing them is that it's not. They're such different things. They're two completely different horses.
One's job is baby. And the other's an actual good show.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Stinky. Is that what his name was? Stinky or something?
Who the hell knows?
Whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, I don't. They're very 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 different in like tone and style, and you know the Clone Wars is more of an actual like narrative show, like 3 acts in an episode, and multiple arcs over a few episodes, and. But this is more of just like little kind of like slices of life in a way of the Clone Wars, but it's just Clone Wars. This is gonna be kind of from here on out. We're just gonna be talking about the 2D one,
Clone Wars.
So if I accidentally say the Clone Wars, I'm still talking about the 2D.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was kind of, it started out kind of like slice of life. Like you get to see like action from each different. Not each, but like a lot of different Jedi, and then, but eventually, like, because there's like it's separated in 2 parts.
Yeah.
So like the first part's about an hour. That includes like 20 something episodes, and then the second part seems a little more strung together.
Yeah.
It's way more linear.
Definitely.
In story.
I mean, the first part is basically Anakin's still a Padawan, and then at the beginning of the beginning of the second one, then he becomes a Jedi, and they show
he gets knighted. Yeah.
Yes, and I personally, because I've already been comparing so many different source materials in this podcast so far, and I'll just add one to it. I like the second part more personally. So that I just think the war is good. The fighting's great, and it does a great job setting up Revenge of the Sith also.
Yeah, it does. It's funny how, because I just broke my rule. I'm about to talk about the Clone Wars. The end of season 7, the most recent season of the Clone Wars, ends in very much the same way. Like it picks up like during. Or it ends during Revenge of the Sith. So it's kind of like, it's cool because, actually, you know what I did? When I finished the second part of Clone Wars, the 2D, I was like, oh, I'm still pumped. So I immediately went to the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, to the space battle. Because I was like, I want to keep watching. So
Yeah.
I watched like 10 minutes of that, but
Yeah, it's good.
that was kind of fun. But yeah, I as a whole, very, very, very good. Very fun. So epic in scale. You get it feels like a war. Like it really, really, truly feels like
Yeah.
a war. And not just like, space battles and whatnot, but it actually felt like, when Obi-Wan Kenobi talked about in A New Hope about like the Jedi of old, like the protectors of peace and justice.
Yeah.
It really felt like something mystical and grand and, medieval. And it definitely felt, I mean, you had jousting in this,
Yeah.
which
No,
was awesome. But it was like, it was like a mix of medieval knights with like a war and peace-esque kind of battles and also like ancient Greece, like Herculean battles against monsters that, like the one that comes to mind is like when Obi-Wan Kenobi was fighting that giant jouster guy.
Yeah.
And he kept like getting his limbs back. It's like kind of like when Hercules was fighting that, I think, was it called the Hydra or something?
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just like very mythical.
I think the world building also in it was just so good because, like, in a galaxy far, far away, and I mean, I'm not trying to criticize Star Wars, but I mean, it's a galaxy far, far away, so we'll never know like everything that happens there. But, I mean, the thing is, sorry, there's a bird that keeps on chirping outside. I wish I had a BB gun to shoot it, but, unfortunately, if you're
Binary
hearing
Sunset
that,
Podcast does not condone violence against birds.
I mean, I love chicken, so. Sorry.
That's true.
But yeah, so bear with us. Anyway, I really like the battles between the separatists and the clones and Jedi underwater. Like they had the calamari.
And the Quarren.
Yeah.
There's civil. They actually do a version of that in
Do they?
the
Okay.
3D Clone Wars. Yeah.
Now,
But
you
yeah,
have my
it's
attention.
the creativity of the combat was a lot of fun. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't just like blind, just like boom, 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 boom. I mean, some of it was, but a lot of it was just like, it was very creatively done.
Totally.
Like, with the underwater cannon, like Kit Fisto made like a air bubble and blew out its legs, and like that was cool. And then
So,
just like a lot of
a
different
little
stuff.
bit of side note. I watched that as a kid, and when I saw Kit Fisto in Revenge of the Sith, I was like, "Man, this is gonna be awesome!" And then he just dies.
Wah, wah, wah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just so bad.
No, he sucks in the movies.
Yes, and
Also,
I'm sure there's some legends or some canon that's gonna explain why it happened. Blah blah blah. It sucks though. But yeah, going back to the fight scenes, the jousting, the underwater battles. How about like when they just board a ship? And
that
during the
was
Battle of Coruscant, like it's just all the blast, the doors open to outer space, and they just repel onto a separatist ship and take it over. I mean, that's awesome.
It reminded me of just like a virus invading a cell. A
Yeah,
bunch of virus. It was kind of cool.
and
But
I'd say my favorite part of the entire show, it's like basically a 2-hour segment, is just General Grievous and his design and like how nasty he is in it.
well, yeah. So that was his debut.
Yeah, it was.
It came out in. Well, I was looking at IMDb. I thought it all came out in 2003, but it looks like it came out from the span of 03 to 05.
Yeah.
So like right before.
Yes.
From like right after Attack of the Clones to like right before Revenge of the Sith came out. And yeah, you get his debut, and you also figure out how he got his cough.
Yeah.
It was because
you
was
do.
it Ki-Adi-Mundi like crushed his
Yeah.
yeah.
His
his
lungs
chest.
and ribs. Yeah. No, that was.
I kept wondering throughout this entire thing, was Tartakovsky working off for like the artwork and stuff and like designs and like character designs and ship designs, whatever, and like new stuff. Like, do you think that he was working off of like images that the story group had created for the upcoming movie, or do you think that some of this stuff was actually created in this show and then put onto screen eventually with Revenge of the Sith? Like, was it George Lucas that created a lot of these designs, or like the story group, or did Tartakovsky create that and was that then translated to the film?
So I
is what
think
I'm wondering.
George Lucas. I think he had a like they were going following his lead.
Yeah.
That being said, I did find quite a few shots that reminded me of The Last Jedi.
Hmm.
That's just like
Oh, so you did,
look
okay. So
mimicked
not
it.
great. Or
So no, I mean the jousting in the scene.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll post that on Instagram. Um, like you said, one of your favorite scenes was the jousting part, and it literally is it's the same shot for shot when it's the Battle of Crate and the rebellion are using these like terrible vehicles to try to
Yeah.
take out
Oh, I thought
cannons.
about the same thing.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah, I mean it's very
It's also
similar of a
similar the way
situation.
the dirt was kicked up. It looked like red on white.
Yeah, no, it's
I don't know if
so I
Ryan
mean
Johnson watched it, but
I'll
yeah.
be honest. I mean, Ryan Johnson's a big anime and cartoon
Hmm.
fan, so I would. It sounds like something he would watch and
Yeah.
enjoy and take from, which is totally great. So
Yeah. Yeah. Like speaking of like adding to the creativity of combat there,
yeah.
I also enjoyed like when Mace Windu took on the whole army by himself,
Oh yeah,
and he lost his lightsaber temporarily, but that didn't matter at
he
all.
just punched his way through battle droids.
He wrecked them.
Super battle
But
droids.
yeah, I think it might help to maybe just like like talk about the overarching story and then get back into details.
Okay,
So yeah, like obviously it starts out
it's pretty
Anakin's a
large.
Padawan.
Yeah.
He still has his braid.
Yes.
He you get you get some of that relationship between him and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan doesn't think he's ready for a lot of stuff. Anakin is, brazen and thinks that he can do anything. He's put in charge of like commanding the military in space
Because of
and
Palpatine too.
because of Palpatine. Yeah,
Yes.
so you get that kind of relationship too. How and you see how like annoyed the Jedi are with him.
Yeah.
And he gets put in command, but the problem is that like Obi-Wan's proven right because Anakin at the first sign of like that of Asajj Ventress like
Yeah.
attacking in her ship, which is also the first time we see Asajj Ventress, who has a huge role in the Clone Wars
Yep.
series. He just leaves the battle. They go to Yavin,
Yes.
which was cool.
And then a bunch of clones follow him because
Mhm.
of Obi-Wan's orders to
Yeah.
find him, and then they all get killed.
There's also there's like so I feel like there's so much in the first part. I feel like I forgot a bunch of it too.
I mean, a lot of it's just action and battle. Like
Mhm.
that's part of it. I mean, it is story driven, but a lot of it's driven by the actual action and battle.
What I like about what I like about the combat is that it like it's it has a point to it. Like it takes you to from one story point to the next, instead of just happening, which is
Well,
what
yeah,
it drove the story. Like the combat drove the story.
think about it like Samurai Jack. I mean, honestly, Samurai Jack was all action for the most part. Like the
Yeah.
beginning was a setup, or sometimes it would just jump right in. But I mean, the storytelling is very similar to Samurai Jack, where it doesn't take that much long. The pacing's super good. Doesn't take that much long to set up what's going
Mhm.
on to tell a story in like the first 3 or 4 minutes. And then bam,
Yeah.
like the rest of what's happening is a lot of just fighting and just really fun if you're like a kid, but at the same time, I mean, if you're an adult too, it's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun.
But
There's something for everybody.
exactly.
But yeah,
let's
anyway,
keep
so
on
let's
going.
keep going.
So-
So yeah, so Go ahead.
Anakin fights Asajj Ventress, and he kind of taps into that dark side a little bit.
yeah, you get like flashes of Yoda and Obi-Wan
Yeah.
and Qui-Gon too.
Yep. As while
He's doing the Luke thing at the end of Return of the Jedi with Vader,
yeah.
where he's like kind of railing on her
Yeah.
the same way Luke was railing on Vader.
Yeah, and he has her red lightsaber that he's using because he lost his blue lightsaber, and he's railing at her, and then he doesn't stop, and then she just falls. Is she dead? Obviously not, but
Well, no.
I mean, yeah, she kind of falls to her fate, it looks like, and that's really the end of the
The first one.
the
I
first
really loved her origin too. like with Count Dooku,
Yeah.
their relationship and how they started was very cool.
So can I say one thing that I really enjoyed that I feel like we have yet to see done that well is just like how the Force is used with the Sith. And I'm not talking about Force lightning. I'm talking about like Dooku just like literally flying, like when he discovers Asajj Ventress, like, and he just like
and he like flies,
he
like floats
flies
from,
down. I mean, that would make total sense if
that was really cool.
the
I also
physics
love
of the Force. So
the sound design too.
yes, exactly.
I love the sound design because sometimes at some points in this show, like there's like no music, but it's just noises, and it's so pretty.
This is just sound design porn, honestly. Like it's just so good. No, you're totally right. There's a lot of silence, and this show uses its silence, and that's something that it takes from Samurai Jack as well, which totally
Very
makes
artfully
sense.
done.
And then, but going back to the Force, the other thing I really enjoyed was when the clones are sent to help Anakin find Asajj Ventress, how she kind of uses the Force to like basically like kill the clones one by one, very artfully and silently. And that's just something that, again, like it totally makes sense that would be something the Force can do.
Felt like Predator.
It did feel like Predator. I mean, she was like pulling, you didn't even know where she was, but she was pulling clones left and right, throwing them against trees and stuff like that. It was just, I thought it was very cool. So.
Also, they didn't have a New Zealand accent. They just talked like this.
That's fine.
Well, yeah, that didn't bother me, but that was interesting. Oh, the clones too were so stoic and they were so competent.
But you don't
like
see their face too.
You don't see their face.
Yeah.
But they were just like they were like a well-oiled machine.
Yes.
They did their job so well, and because they knew what they were doing, they were bred for it.
Yeah.
It definitely they definitely felt like, you know, there's a definite stark contrast from them and like the bumbling stormtrooper. From the original trilogy that can't meet its target, but and then basically the Jedi Council figures Anakin's been through enough trials, and because they need more Jedi, they're like dwindling in resources and forces, and
exactly
they kind of expedite the process. They knight Anakin, cut off his rat tail, and it's gifted to Padme. And she puts it in a little box next to the necklace that he made her in Phantom Menace. And then and then it starts with the second part. Anakin's got long hair, more similar to Revenge of the Sith Anakin. And basically the whole most of the second part is Anakin, you know, in combat with Obi-Wan, but then they get like sidetracked by these native people to this one planet.
This is the main narrative for them,
and this is the main narrative for Anakin, and this is like because up to that point he was never really tested for like soulfulness, and like his ability to feel and empathize and stuff. That was like the final Jedi trial that he never had, and this was his opportunity to prove himself. And so he does, but in the process, basically they go to this planet. He kills this giant beast. The natives are mad, but they both realize that the natives are only they only consist of women and children. All the males of that species are gone. And so they task him with finding them.
Yes.
And so he like has this whole like vision quest. Gets some sick tats all over the body. Man, Anakin's ripped, by the way.
Yes.
That dude's ripped. They're all the Jedi are ripped in this show. Definitely they're all.
I mean, they're all samurai. They're all Samurai Jack.
Yes.
Like, they're all just
Samurai jacked up.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, so yeah, he has like this vision quest, and he goes in this cave, and this artwork starts coming alive, and it basically foretells his destiny as Darth Vader.
Yes,
which was really cool. He has what they call, what the people of that planet call the ghost hand.
Mm-hmm.
To where it serves him well until it kind of overtakes him, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like, I think that's kind of like the a wink or a nod to Obi-Wan Kenobi's line in Return of the Jedi. He's more machine than man now,
Yep.
which
Totally.
that was super cool. That was very artfully done as well. And then he goes and he finds this like laboratory, with the techno unions like messing up the males of that species and turning them into like killing soldiers or whatever, and he saves them and brings them back to the village, and all's well.
Yeah.
And then they get the communique that Coruscant's under siege, and that the Chancellor has
And
been kidnapped by Grievous.
yeah, and while all this is happening, we actually see the Battle of Coruscant too, while
Yeah.
Anakin and Obi-Wan
On the
are
ground,
off
yeah.
on their journey. And honestly,
Which had some sick action.
that's my favorite part. Like, I
Yeah,
really
that was
enjoy how just General Grievous continues to just pop up. Like, his head literally pops up everywhere. And it's very comedic in a sense. But yeah, I mean, we kind of see just some clone troopers and 3 Jedi, including Shakti, try to protect the Chancellor, but they're no match for General Grievous, and General Grievous kills several of them.
Also, I prefer his voice in this so much more than in the movies.
Yeah, I mean,
He sounds like Darth Vader in this, which I thought was really cool and kind of scary.
That is cool.
He's just kind of comical sounding in Revenge of the Sith. But that's just me.
One thing I noticed that I wonder if because what happens to Shakti at the end of this again? Because she lives, doesn't she?
I could have sworn that the last time I watched this, she was killed by him.
Yeah.
But she lives.
So that's the thing. She lives. And I found this interesting in a outtake or special features of Revenge of the Sith.
There's a deleted scene.
A deleted scene where General Grievous kills Shakti in front of the Chancellor, or maybe it was just Obi-Wan and Anakin. Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because that would not have matched up, obviously, with the Clone Wars, Clone Wars TV show. So
no, yeah, I thought because she dies in that deleted scene. I thought she died in Clone Wars. I guess I was wrong, but like she dies a bunch of different times off like that we don't realize.
Yeah,
like non-canonically. But yeah, anyway, so that kind of brings us to the end of like that overview of the story.
Yes.
I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't I've just made so many notes during this of things that I thought were cool
okay.
And I know you did too. So like, if you want to,
well, I shared them throughout our conversation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I did not. I was not as efficient, but I just have a laundry list of things that I wanted to point out.
So AV, what were these? What's your laundry list?
So Zach, all right, let me break out my little notepad.
Yes.
So I covered a lot already in that kind of overview, but let's see. Okay, lore. I did it in all caps. There's a lot of lore in this show. Yeah. That more than I thought there would be. From when you first start watching it, it is just like very actiony. But the more you get into it, like the more lore you get about the Jedi. Like, did you notice? So Barriss Offee and Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, they were in Ilum in the caves of the Kyber crystal, which I had never. Oops, sorry, I just bumped my mic. I'd never seen, or I had the first time I saw that was in the Clone Wars, the 3D animation one. And I didn't know that they debuted Ilum in this one. I'd never seen that clip before. But how far did you make it into Jedi Fallen Order? Did you make it to that ice planet?
I did not make it far because again.
So basically, Ilum. I don't know if you it was a snowy planet. They were trapped with the Kyber crystals because she was finding her Kyber crystal to put in her lightsaber. That was like her last, test.
Yes.
And as a Padawan, and or a youngling, I should say. But that planet is where all masters take their students to find their Kyber crystal, and then it's like a little test of of strength and courage and cunning. But that I don't know if you know this, but it's heavily insinuated that that planet Ilum turns the First Order turns that planet into Starkiller Base.
Oh, interesting. I did not.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's it's like an ancient Jedi rite, in that on that planet, in those caves. And I thought that was super cool. I had no idea that was in that show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Yavin, I in all caps with a bunch of exclamation marks. I did that was super cool too. That was a little blast from the past.
Yep.
And you know, I don't know if I don't know if in the long run that was a great choice or not. I thought it was interesting that they included that as one of the planets that Anakin visits. But you know, in A New Hope, it's touted as a hidden base on a planet that you never guess. So I don't know. Darth Vader has been to that planet, to this hidden rebel base before. You know,
Well, technically, he hasn't. Only Anakin has.
right. Oh yeah. Sure. Well, no. Well, I'd argue that a little piece of Darth Vader showed up on that planet
Okay,
when he was
enough.
fighting.
He betrayed
Semantics.
and
Semantics.
killed your father.
And during that battle, I forgot to mention
Yes.
when they were like right when they were starting to draw their lightsabers. I don't know. It started to rain.
Oh
And I thought
yeah,
it was such a cool detail. The steam coming off of the lightsabers.
That was nice.
It was quiet, and it was just like that was really cool.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Oh, I don't know if you noticed when General Grievous first comes to that broken down, or to that crashed Star Destroyer that the Jedi are in with like Ki-Adi-Mundi and Ayla Secura and
Sure.
Shakti, whatever. They're hiding from Grievous as he's like walking in. I don't know if you noticed there was a Jedi and his name is Shaggy, Master Shaggy, and you'll recognize him from Scooby-Doo because that's
Really?
it was a nod to Shaggy.
What's his name? It's a Jedi named Shaggy.
Shaggy, Shaaggi, I think. I can't remember what this is. A weird spelling, but it's like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Wait, so isn't he a Padawan though?
Yeah,
That runs out. Yeah, he's a Padawan. Oh, that's totally funny. I didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
I thought it was gonna be like, oh,
He
gosh,
has the
guys.
stubble. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Like, zoinks!
Scoob.
General Grievous is coming. So
He even has a green lightsaber for his green shirt. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. No.
And he gets crushed immediately. I wrote this down. I don't know when it was in it. I got a little drunk when I was watching it. I was enjoying myself a lot. But there was a shot and there was just a bunch of Max Rebo species aliens hiding in a corner or something of like one planet. I literally wrote Max Rebo species, and I don't know what the context of that was.
Did not notice that. No.
But I feel like I remember that in my mind.
Wow.
I also wrote down when Anakin kills that beast, and like Obi-Wan's like, we have to be respectful of their cultures and rituals and like their code of conduct.
Sure.
I thought that was like, because you know I there's a lot of like side stories of like comics and that I've watched videos on and whatever, like Vader going to different planets with the Empire, with the stormtroopers and whatever, and like conquering them and like destroying the natives and like crushing them and not caring about them, not respecting them, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's just like a stark contrast for when the Jedi show up. Like they don't have to do that. They could literally just leave. Yeah. They could kill them all and just leave and not have to deal with that. But they don't. They that's like the difference between between the Jedi and the Sith.
It's the light. It's the good guys.
But I that kind of made me a little emotional. What's next? Anakin foretells. Oh yeah. It wasn't okay. In my notes it says Mace Windu gives Grievous the cough. It wasn't Ki-Adi-Mundi. It was Mace Windu that crushes his.
Yeah.
And then my last note's just like it ends right before episode 3, which is then I went to Revenge of the Sith and watched the opening shot. But yeah, that's basically the chicken scratch that I wrote that popped out to me. But yeah, all in all, a lot of fun, very enjoyable. It felt when I was watching it felt way longer than it actually was, I think.
Yeah. No,
because there
you're
was just so much. But yeah, and then I don't know. I'm on IMDb right now. I'm just kind of like looking through trivia. Oh, so it says Anthony Daniels. I was wondering if
he was
C-3PO was that.
C-3PO.
Yeah, so he was the only one to reprise his role from the movies,
That makes sense.
which is always the case with Anthony Daniels. He's always C-3PO, no matter what.
One thing that I thought about, that it kind of reminded me of new Star Wars material, The High Republic. I'm currently reading the comics. And just the reasoning behind Anakin becoming a Padawan or becoming a Jedi Knight, because they need more people. Like, the Jedi need more warriors.
Yeah, which is
Um,
It's not the most. It's not the. It. You can definitely see how un-Jedi that was.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, he definitely, like, he faced harder trials. Like, they're not going by the book, but he's definitely faced harder. It's unorthodox, but nobody's questioning whether he is, like, ready, like, skill set wise, to become a Jedi. Is that a similar thing actually happens in the first comic of the High Republic, where the Padawan, I'm going to butcher the name, Keeve Trennis, she's a Padawan to Master Skier, and who's it? Was it Trandoshan? Right? Is that
Trandoshans are the.
Let's see here.
Trandoshans are the like. Boss.
Trandoshan. Yeah. He's a Trandoshan. So, like, reading it, it's a side note. Reading it, he's just like, whenever you read it, everything begins and ends with an S.
Yes,
He's a lizard. But anyway, getting back to it, what happens in the first edition of the High Republic, spoilers, is that basically the Padawan Trennis is in the middle of her test, and then something happens where she has to save the day and save all these, like, people, and Master Skier tells her to, like, stop, like, fooling around and continue and finish her training, while some people or some, like, these animals may die. And she disobeys him, goes after these, like, animals that are these aliens that are animals that are wreaking havoc on the planet they are. She resolves the situation. Then she goes back to him, and he refuses to talk to her for a while, and he takes her to this makeshift base where the Jedi are. And then she's like, thinks she's going to get yelled at or something like that. And then it turns out, no, the Jedi Order is actually going to make her a Jedi. And I thought it was very similar to what happens in the first half, where Anakin disobeys Obi-Wan. And then because of tough times, they are forced to kind of expedite the process and make them a Jedi. Right. So
which is because they need soldiers, and it's like such an un-Jedi thing when you think about it. Because I'm the entire time I was watching the show, I couldn't help but think back to Yoda's line in Empire Strikes Back, where he's like, where Luke asks, he's saying he's looking for a great warrior named Yoda, and then Yoda's like, wars make not one great, or something like that.
Sure.
There's no such thing as a great warrior, because wars are not, they're bad, right? In essence. But yeah, I mean, like, they've gotten to the point in the Clone Wars where they're just like breeding soldiers.
Well, so fight. It's interesting because Yoda's also in this.
Yes.
So
he has there's such a stark contrast between Yoda in the Clone Wars and then Yoda after the Clone Wars.
No. I'm saying Yoda is in the High Republic comics too.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, he was there when that situation was made. So maybe that set the precedent for Anakin's
I mean, he lived 900 years. He lived long enough to see himself become
a villain.
Batman. Yeah. There was some trivia that I was looking at in IMDb, and one of them stuck out to me. It says during the third season. So they condensed it into two different pieces in Disney Plus, but I guess it's 3 seasons. It says during the third season, most of the story takes place on the planet Nelvon, which is the planet that Anakin has his trial at. It's a nod to Nelvana Studios, the company responsible for Star Wars Droids, the animated series, Ewoks, and the animated sequence from the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh boy.
As well, the species Nelvon resembles a dog-like character from Rock and Rule, a movie made by Nelvana Studios. I've never heard of Nelvana Studios.
Me neither. They're responsible for the Star Wars vintage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much a lot of different stuff from Star Wars vintage. And then the Wilhelm scream. Do you hear the Wilhelm scream throughout the entire thing?
I did. Yes, I heard the Wilhelm scream.
That was nice.
Times.
I love that. You can't have. And I only made note of one time that they said, I've got a bad feeling about this. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi said that, but
yeah,
I don't know if they said that more often. But lastly, it says the art design for 3PO and R2 is a nod to the art style in Star Wars Droids.
Makes sense.
1985.
Yeah.
Which I was thinking of when I was watching it, but
I've actually never seen it.
I don't. Is it on Disney Plus now?
I think so. There was one.
I haven't
maybe
seen
it was
much
the
of it.
Millennium Falcon or something like that. Like there was another animated Star Wars series I haven't seen.
I don't think it's Droids though. But
yeah, I think
that's got to be one of the next things.
Yeah,
they do. But yeah, so that kind of, I guess that kind of, unless you have anything to add,
no,
kind of wraps up.
I think that wraps it up.
Next week, I'm not really sure what we have on the docket for next week, but we'll be there with something.
We'll be there with something.
But
yeah.
So catch us next week. Thanks for listening, and may the Force be with you.
Oh Lord.